Hey, welcome back to Lenfant's Cocktails. We're doing another gin review and staying within the Japanese gin family. We're doing something from the Kyoto distillery, the Tou Old Tom Gin style gin. What's really cool about this gin is that it does take all those traditional Japanese flavors like the yuzu peel, it has some green tea in there, it has some ginger for some extra spice. What Kyoto distillery does to try to make this more in the Old Tom style gin is they add some black sugar after distillation, so it does have a little bit of sugar added. They do this to try to mimic some of those Old Tom gin styles, which is sort of a mix between Jennifer and London Dry style gin, and it comes out to be a pretty tasty gin. This gin is a little bit higher in ABV. It's 47.4 by volume, so it is a little bit proofier, and it will definitely, hopefully, stand up pretty well in some cocktails, but let's go ahead and give it a try. All right, so we've got our gin. It's got a great brown color, hopefully from those nice barrel-aged notes, but probably also because of the black sugar that's added. On the smell, honestly, it's a pretty strong, just like alcohol smell without too much extra going on right off the nose. But let's give it a taste. I've had the London Dry style gin from this distillery and it is really good as well. But this one definitely does have a little bit more of a rounded off and smoother edge to it. But it is really tasty and definitely full flavored. On the nose, I didn't get much alcohol, but oddly when I taste it, I don't really get much of a burn. I get a pretty full gin taste, and definitely in that Old Tom Gin style. I'm a big fan of Old Tom Gin, especially in some cocktails like a Martinez or a Tom Collins, but this really does taste good even neat. It has a little bit of aged taste to it, and I don't know if it is aged. I'll have to look at that later, but it is really tasty, and it kind of grows on you. A lot of times Old Tom gins aren't very citrus forward, but I actually think this one has a pretty good yuzu and lemon backing with that nice juniper taste up front. But like I said, it's definitely a little bit softer and rounder, and I'm really interested to see how this is going to hold up in the Gimlet. So let's go ahead and try that. So when I tried the Old Tom Gin from Ransom, I wasn't a really big fan of it in the Gimlet. So I'm really interested to see how this gin turns out in a Gimlet because I'd really like to enjoy an Old Tom Gin in a Gimlet. I think there's a right balance in there or a right Old Tom Gin to do it. Hopefully this is it. Cheers. You can definitely see right away, this is a lot different color than a normal Gimlet. It's got a lot bigger flavor. Let's try it again. I actually think, surprisingly, this gin works really well in a Gimlet. It's not as bright and summery as a normal Gimlet would be with a London Dry style gin or a Plymouth style gin, but it definitely has a big flavor that matches well with that lime juice. So while it's not as bright and juniper forward as a normal Gimlet, I would say this is actually a pretty nice way to enjoy it. It wouldn't be my first choice for a Gimlet, but definitely it is pretty good. Let's see. I think you do get a lot of that yuzu flavor up front, which is providing a little bit of bitterness, which I think goes well with the tart flavors of the lime, all enhanced by that nice, rich, simple syrup. And again, just for my Gimlet recipe, just to be consistent, we're doing 2 ounces of gin, 3/4 ounce of lime juice, and 1/2 ounce of rich 2-to-1 simple syrup. So the Old Tom Gin, what do we think? I think overall it actually is a pretty tasty gin, and it works pretty well in a Gimlet. It's nice to sip alone, and I bet it would work exceedingly well in a Tom Collins. It does come in around $50 a bottle, which is a little bit higher than most people want to spend on gin, or kind of that I want to spend on gin. But it does provide a different, unique flavor from the other Old Tom gins that I've tried, and it is pretty good, and it kind of stands up well. I've used this in some other cocktails, like a Martinez, and I've even used it in a Negroni. And in the Negroni, it wasn't so good because it was a little bit too sweet with all the added sweetness from the Campari and sweet vermouth. But I really do think that there is a place for this gin in your collection probably. So if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. If you've got a gin you'd like me to review, let me know. I'd love to do it. Cheers.